and remediation spend. All right, thank you for starting the recording. Again, just to recap, the presentation today is all about Jacob's solution on how to challenge, end the challenge of communicating complex site conditions and the risk to non-technical audiences, including regulatory agencies, public stakeholders, and business leaders, of course. So Jacob's solution involves the application of 3D data visualization and digital solutions, including immersive technologies that condense collaborative data sets for effective communication, which can lead to reduced liability and remediation spend. So 3D data visualization solutions, it's all about transforming how you engage with stakeholders and bridging that gap between data, information, and strategy to better serve and support and enhance effective communication for better decision making, increased sustainability, inclusive outcomes going forward. So I'm going to just start to dive into our agenda today. So the first one, we're going to look at what is the challenge. We're going to be using a remediation example. And the challenge is to how do we effectively communicate site conditions to achieve remedial goals, the desire to close sites, or to get a long-term care solution in place. Second is the solution, or the situation, sorry. The site closure is never straightforward, so typical remediation scenarios involve conjoining many data sets and ultimately presenting the conceptual site models, so I'm going to refer to those as CSMs going forward, and negotiating site management conditions. And ultimately, we want to close sites. Negotiation is real with remediation. So there's always some form of negotiation with stakeholders. So that's why communication is so important. The next one is the solution. So the solution going forward is using 3D data visualization techniques and analysis. So this is all about integrating complex geologic modeling, geostatistical analysis, and visualization tools. So in a lot of cases, conceptual site models are developed by using more conventional methods like plans, 2D figures, tables, graphs. So, but by using the techniques of 3D data visualization, it provides yet another level of confirming and testing and communicating conceptual site models and remediation strategies. So, and something to point out is that these 3D visualizations are not conceptual site models. They are defensible models based on your site data. And then we're going to showcase some of the cutting edge 3D digital solutions and immersive technologies and how we're applying some of these to different sites. These solutions help to improve safety and streamline workflows and efficiencies in delivery and whatnot, and really help to reduce a cost for clients in the end. And of course, it's all around that enhancement and partnership and communication with stakeholders as well. And then we're going to do a little dive into a few little case studies as well. And then we're going to reflect on some of the takeaways and whatnot. So let's just start to dive into the challenge here. So here we see kind of a flow chart and that highlights some of the major steps in a simple remediation process scenario to take a site to closure. So there's multiple steps in the process, and throughout the process, you're looking for the need to obtain those approvals, and most typically from non-technical audiences as well. So here are three kind of touch points for approvals in the CSM strategy. And this requires effective communication of complex conditions with non-technical audience. So typically during the remediation process, so like public landowners, regulators, politicians, public business managers, and all alike. So the challenge is really how do we adequately engage and also communicate with the audience to gain that endorsement of the vision, agree on those milestones, and effectively get the approval when complete. So 4 typical ways that we usually engage with these shareholders to help either bring them along, or if there's a new technology, we're going to do training and workshops. If there's public stakeholders are involved, we'll ultimately have public meetings. Obviously, if there's advocacy, is related to more of the regulatory agencies and whatnot. So basically tying it all back, there's multiple touch points here where we have to communicate to non-technical folks. So the big picture is where these tools fit into the process going forward. So again, it's all about the complexity of the situation. This example that we're going to be showing here is basically a conceptual site model of a canal, and I'm just going to click it up on the screen. I'm hoping you can see that. And showing industrial facilities that release of a non-aqueous material. So it's sunk through, obviously, the Vados zone into a saturated zone where the release is below the bulkhead now. So subsequently, impacting the surface water in those canals. And depicting the interaction between the contamination and the receptors so that the ecological scenario, that's what we're looking at here. So the whole point here is around, where the site and the contamination, the distribution, where is it? Is it horizontally and vertically delineated? Where are the receptors and exposures? Thinking about the risk scenarios as well. It can all get really complicated. So, we're collecting bits of information, of data, delineating different contamination as well, taking a close look at the concentration of the contaminants and assessing the risk in all the results. So the question is, how do we best depict the situation, and does a 2D section really adequately, I'd say, here we're looking at a 2D section, and does it really adequately depict and communicate what we're trying to get across? So our point is, at the end of the day, no, it's very complicated situation. It's complex. And, so we want to bring in some of these 3D tools instead to really help with that communication and understanding, and also identifying data gaps as well. So here it is, we're showing a little bit more detailed analysis. And I'm going to start showing and talking about the situation where we are looking at lots of different types of data as well. That's another one of the big constraints in terms of getting that succinct CSM, is that with all the different data that we are succincting all together, how do we best show everything to get that communication across? So basically what we're looking at, we're talking about lithologic descriptions, in situ real-time tools. What we're looking at on the screen is called a Targos. So, where the yellow and blues indicate you have NAPL impacts and whatnot. So interesting to see where the clean intervals relative to the contamination is. So the highest concentration of NAPL to the right there. And some of the poor fluid saturation water, air and NAPL that you see is obviously where it's spiking and whatnot, if you can see my little cursor. So, so this is all the data that you would, you need to understand. Looking at all of this in 2D, you can get lost in the weeds, basically. So especially when you're starting to talk to some of the non-technical audiences, and this can happen really, really fast, right? So at the end of the day, the CSM is bringing the risk into the CSM as well. That's another aspect of the project that you have to take into consideration. And the risk is that it's complicated. Human health is a factor here, and really driving home that the complexities of the situation of these technical evaluations, and how do we present these in a more digested form as well. So I'm just going to quickly toggle through here. So we know that in a lot of sites, we get stuck because nobody knows what to do with all of this information coming in. And how do we engage stakeholders to, again, agree on those milestones and understand the vision of the process? So being able to use these 3D tools to a more effectively, I say, grab all the data and to communicate in a better, more timely fashion is key. So let's look at the solution here, and then we're going to take a deeper dive into looking at some of the different tools on its own. So using using the solution at the end of the day is utilizing 3D data visualization and digital solutions, and kind of maximizing and leveraging the power of the 3D data visualization techniques to drive future site decision making efforts to really gain that deeper understanding of subsurface site conditions. So 3D data visualizations have really proven to be invaluable in answering key site questions, helping direct future work efforts, and communicating the answers to all stakeholders. So some of the key aspects of it is it really helps to transform a room full of binders and reports into an easy to use model. It really enhances site knowledge and data retention. It's going to help reduce and help direct, I should say, helps directing future work efforts as well. And it really leaves that lasting impression in the viewer's mind, allowing you to communicate site information with all the stakeholders. So here you can see we have an actual animation. I'll just play it on the screen here. I'm hoping that it's going to play okay for you guys. You can see we're kind of just toggling through some of the different aspects of the animation as well. So you can see how we've put in some of the LIF data as well. But there's a whole lot of different information going on here, and the whole point is how do we effectively look at all of the data in one snapshot? And 2D is just not a great way of looking at it. So to be able to integrate all of the data sets together to get that complete comprehensive understanding and to really drive decision making going forward, that's the key here. So sorry, I have dogs at home, so you can hear them barking in the background. So I'm going to I think I already talked on these. So let's move into some of the fun part of the presentation here instead of the basic theory. So we know that innovative digital solutions, it's all about unlocking the power of your data and information and bringing that high value outcome to increase that connectivity. So I'm going to be playing some animation. So I'm going to actually turn off my camera right now, just to help with the bandwidth here. All right. So let's just continue on. So we know in this age of digital transformation and digital disruptions, technology is transforming the way we're doing our every day-to-day activities. So we know that all our clients are really actively seeking innovative technologies to help streamline and transform their business. So, this is a really amazing opportunity to be on the call with you and in the conference today to kind of show you how Jacobs is on the forefront of some of these cutting edge technologies. We at Jacobs, we really consider ourselves the difference makers, problem solvers, and our ultimate goal is to help solve and provide solutions to, the everyday remediation and environmental challenges going forward. So, and as we can see here, we're now pushing some of our 3D data visualizations into more solution delivery packages, anywhere from the cutting edge animations, conceptual illustrations, 3D and 2D dashboards as well, and pushing the models into more um, interactive, executable WebGL applications, mobile apps as well, and ultimately through those more immersive technology platforms like AR and VR as well. So if you're asking yourself, okay, listen, I have my 3D model, why do I need to go to the next level? Why do we need to engage the 3D data visualization, into more technical and technological platforms? So, my answer to that question when people ask, why do I need to implement some of these visualization capabilities? It's all about, if you look at the screen, these are all around companies' 5 KPIs at the end of the day. Why do we, this is what essentially a successful project and basically a happy client looks like at the end of the day. So what we're seeing here is that these 3D data visualizations and integrating some of these innovative solutions, it's really going to help improve overall safety of projects. It's going to help streamline the workflows and efficiencies in delivery and operations. And it's going to enhance that client partnership, as I mentioned, and that communication with overall stakeholders. So, and then the big one too is at the end of the day, it's going to help reduce those costs for clients and to bring those high value outcomes for your internal operations, but also for your clients' operations as well. So something to keep in mind. So I'm turning on the next one. We have a series of different, I'm hoping that they're all playing here. I'm going to just make sure that they are. A lot going on the screen, but I'll stay here for a while so that you all have a chance and an opportunity to really look at each one of these. As I mentioned, technology is really bringing that connectivity. We know with the current pandemic, we're all dealing with challenging times here. So there is a definite need for virtual connectivity and collaboration through that effective communication. So this is a really good opportunity to expand and deliver unique situations and solutions. And these are all holistic solutions as well, right? So, in terms of integrating the 3D visualization techniques and also those immersive technologies. And as I mentioned, it's all about unlocking the power of technology and different technologies and the data and the information and bringing it all together to bring those high value outcomes and ultimately increasing that digital connectivity as well. So, um, as I mentioned, here are some of the solutions and holistic approaches that we're integrating into some of our environmental and remediation projects. So, anywhere from animations, if you look at the very top right, you'll see high resolution animations and conceptual renderings. So, it has a great ability here to be able to effectively bring in different types of you could have historical site photos, you could have new drone footage, but also interacting if you're talking about what the proposed redevelopment is all of is happening. You could also integrate some of the conceptual storytelling. So as we know that communication is all about how do we effectively storytell to get that message across. So that's a great way to really to get that message and understanding across. Now, if we take a step down on the screen and look at the camera tracking with drone footage. So here again, we're integrating drone footage. We can see a lot of environmental and remediation sites taking advantage of drone footage and using that to help with the footprint of going forward. So, and also with the proposed design models as well. So really great, impactful communication to be able to um, get the message again, to get that understanding across, and more a collaborative and clearly envisioning with all stakeholders. So, and then obviously, if we're looking at on the left-hand side of the screen here, we are looking at more of interactive it's say deliveries as well. So anywhere from a 4D master planning app where we're using more of, as I mentioned, that conceptual animation, not necessarily the data itself, like a geostatistical data set, but more of the conceptual 3D visualization and getting that understanding across in a nice little quick interface that allows people to understand. I don't know if you can really see the numbers there, but it's kind of an over time process here. So over the last 5 years, so people have the ability to kind of toggle through to see where are we going to be in that construction process, say in 5 years from now. And then again, being able to have these interactive tools and deliveries where we can also look at the over time master planning, but then integrate some of our key issues as well as a complete story package and storytelling. So, and then obviously, if we're looking at the bottom left, it's more of a before and after quick photo montage. So basically, we're just going out, taking in this distinct a photo, and then we're superimposing what that proposed, um, you know, overall picture is going to look like. So great little effective, powerful communication, something to get you thinking on how do I effectively communicate, especially during these challenging times where maybe I can't sit across from my client anymore. So something to think about. And then I'm going to be talking more about augmented reality and virtual reality here in a second. So basically, we know that AR and VR is really quickly becoming that indispensable tool for decision making. So, really eliminating the need for site visits. Stakeholders have the ability to attain information and detect. We have the ability to detect key issues and mitigate risk before it even occurs. So that's what's so powerful about this. Before shovels are hitting the grounds, before any kind of construction is happening at our sites, we're able to mitigate for these risks before they even occur. So all from the benefits of either sitting in your office or working from your home environment. So that's what's great about this. So just for some folks who maybe don't know what the difference between augmented reality and virtual reality is. So augmented reality is all about taking digital assets or elements, features, models into your live and existing environment, where virtual reality would be more of that ultimate immersive experience where you are essentially transported to a different room environment. So you're losing kind of that aspect of being able to see your surroundings, and you're put into a new environment or room. To give you a quick cap on the differences there. So I'm going to just keep moving forward here. So I know that you kind of we kind of I showed you that if you're looking at the top right animation, you kind of saw that on the previous couple slides here. So now I'm going to just talk a little bit about this case study in this project. So as I mentioned, we're now getting into more of augmented reality where we're developing apps, but also gamification. All right. So for this one, we had the ability to develop a customized app, and this was deployed via Android and iOS devices. So this is all about, leveraging immersive technologies to deliver smart solutions, right? So, and again, the example that we're looking at, it's so important to understand who your stakeholders, who your audiences are, right? So this is really what's going to help determine that holistic approach and solution that you are going forward with. So what we're looking at here is that a local county Department of Water Resources had approached us to develop an AR application to enhance public education and community involvement of a restoration of a 1,300 foot stream redevelopment project. So again, in this actual site itself was backing on to the local high school. So, which is why, the local county department really wanted to help get the community involved. They wanted to help enhance public education as well. So we all know they wanted to also get the high school involved. So we all know what teenager does not like augmented reality and virtual reality. So again, this is what really spearheaded the solution and delivery of developing an app and more of a gamification video game like scenario that allows everybody to really understand and get involved and get that public education and enhancement forward. So it was really well received, and it was great to see the level of involvement and the level of engagement and whatnot. And if anybody needs some extra information or background about this, there's a lot. So I want to be mindful of the time here, and there's still a lot to go on. The other one I wanted to mention, it's more about, I'd say I'm going to turn off the sound here. It's more about infrastructure, but again, there's the element that we were involved in terms of the remediation in the environmental process before we're even getting to be able to, like I said, put a shovel into the ground. But again, this one, what we're looking at is, we're delivering a high quality virtual reality. If you think about it, it's a real time visualization environment, and this was to the Welsh government, where it was a series of highways, a long stretch of highway. As you can see, it's like 18-kilometer stretch of highway, and in about 114 square miles as well, and it also including about 5,000 buildings and structures. So very complex situation, but obviously community stakeholders were heavily involved. So it's a great consultation tool that we use to help engage everybody and allow everybody to be immersed at the end of the day, and understand where their property and houses relative to the redevelopment plans, and the infrastructure plans as well. So very, very powerful as well. So, you know, I think it's a very exciting way to communicate and share information. And as I mentioned, that ability to tell that compelling visual story is really critical to engage the public. And obviously, at the end of the day, all stakeholders to get that support of decision making and securing funding, with potential investors as well. So something to think about, right? There's so many different layers involved here. So, we are able to adequately and accurately bring in all of the proposed redevelopment modeling and accurately show, this stretch of highway and all the features, really enhancing and animating with the vehicle traffic and environmental sounds and foliage as well. And we put scenarios of what it was going to look like over the next 15 years as well. So a great level of complexity and whatnot. So the next thing I really wanted to touch base on is that we're really utilizing virtual event space right now for a lot of our environmental assessment projects as well. So something to keep in mind. We know that the pandemic has literally halted our traditional face-to-face engagement methods. So how we are engaging, how we are moving projects forward has to really adapt to reach the people interested in the project in a way that really safeguards the public, also your employees, right? So enabling you to keep your projects planning, advancing, and to avoid those costly delays at the end. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but again, these kind of virtual event spaces, it's all about customizing. It's a live web environment. This is where we're all right now on the conference, right? It is a virtual event space. So these rooms we are now using as a tool to help keep moving our environmental projects and assessments going forward without the need to halt. So these rooms, these virtual rooms, allows all participants, visitors, to be able to engage and virtually walk through the room that ultimately would have been an in-person event space itself. But now we're doing more of a virtual space that allows people to understand the posters, and get educated about the environmental impacts and assessments going forward for the project planning. So again, these rooms are customizable. It's a live web event, so they're very easy. And it's all about utilizing the latest technology to really enhance that communication and engagement strategy and sharing of information, but also the gathering of feedback, right? Efficiently and inclusively for all stakeholders going forward. So it's really having that ultimate ability to interact with your attendees, but also having the ability to do one-on-one chats and responding to their concerns too. So we know that the way people are working and living is challenging, and technology is certainly playing a big part of bringing people together right now. So of course, these are accessible and scalable across all different devices, whether it's your smartphone, your computer, or tablet. So no special requirement other than a live data connection feed for these virtual rooms. So really cool. So I'm not going to touch too much on these benefits, but the key benefits going forward for some of these virtual events, I touch on two of them. It's all about increasing that reach, maximizing your reach, and widening that access, giving unparalleled access to your project for all stakeholders wherever they are, whenever they want to visit. So thinking about inclusive approach and accessibility, right? So, but we have to keep the accessibility and the ease of the user experience in mind, right? So something to keep in time. The other main things I would say, saving time. It's a great way to save time and reduce your carbon footprint, right? So less travel to these events as well, helping your team participants to promote that safer engagement process going forward. The other thing I'd say too, when we started polling people at the start of what kind of excites them about of a more virtual event space to really understand the benefits of projects and infrastructure and environmental remediation. At first, it was like, how do we widen that access? But now what we're seeing now is, how do I reduce the program delays, right? So that's where we're seeing a huge pivot right now, is that the key benefit is, how do I rapidly deploy some of these tools, technologies, and event space to engage and advance the project going forward. And obviously data is king right now. We know the gathering of analytics and real-time feedback to gain those insights is so extremely important. So I'm going to go, and obviously I think these are going to be all available for you. And I'm going to be mindful of time, so I know that we are running out of time here. But all of these should be available to you. The slides should be available after the conference as well, in terms of the case studies and whatnot, if I don't get through them all. The main one I wanted to talk about is the environmental monitoring program that's up on the screen here. So we know that it's all integrating our 3D models into 3D interactive dashboards, right? So, and it's in using the data for you to make those strategic decisions and help to mitigate risk and to drive business results at the end of the day. So again, unlocking the power of your data to bring those high value outcomes, and using data science tools like dashboards as well, to really drive more insights. So these initial investments will yield efficiencies and save money over time through that whole project life cycle as well. So really want you to focus in on, I'm not going to get into the weeds of the project itself. It'll be here for you to look at, but basically deploying a whole integrated geospatial system where we did mobile data collection, application, project tracking, a management dashboard, automated data analysis, and an automated reporting tool. So what I really want you to focus on the screen is the benefits at the end of the day. You know, this implementation of this type of monitoring program, enhancing and benefiting a project where you're looking at 900 hours saved per year on a monitoring site, 75% time savings in the field, for data quality assurances, and 90% of time savings on reporting with those automated photo logs, from going where the process used to be a month to now less than a week to do. So that's a very, very encouraging standpoint. And then also that 85% time saving on automated data analytics, delivering that high value through those real-time dashboards. So basically we're on the field, it's being uploaded real time. So allowing those project managers and the field staff to track projects status almost in real-time situations. So providing that enhanced situational awareness for safety features as well going forward. So I think that's where I want to leave it. But again, I think most of these slides are going to be available for everybody to look at and do a little deeper dive in terms of how we're implementing some of these 3D visualizations. So you can see here we have a 3D data, we've got a geologic, this is actually a bedrock formation that we see here. We can see a little bit of a ground surface at the top, if you can see my cursor. And then we're showing a contamination plume as well. The great thing about this is when we're doing 3D visualization, we can quickly see where the proposed where you can see the dotted line. This is where we need to be in our excavation, and where we are right now and whatnot. So lots of great different benefits of really being able to effectively communicate and enhance and drive future decision making of sites. So I think I just want to go right to the key takeaways, and then we can get into some questions, a question period if you'd like. So, at the end of the day, hoping that 3 reasons why you might remember this presentation is, we're facing, you kind of face a lot of these different challenges, whether it's the complexity and the amount of data for many of the sites that you have. And a lot of these, there's lots of technology, lots of tools out there. So these tools really help with that, that communication of complex situations in the subsurface, and also gaining that stakeholder endorsement at the end of the day. And then obviously the key one here, it's going to integrating some of these digital tools is really going to help lead to reduced liability and remediation spend when everybody can understand visually the process, the proposed plans. It's a great way to help with that endorsement and reduce that liability. So so again, it's really, thank you for having me. And this is all about embracing, digital transformation. And the key that I wanted to leave you off with is that, I'd say these solutions and technologies going forward shouldn't just be considered frosting on the cake at the end of the day when you're thinking about your environmental remediation projects. They should be that essential ingredient in that cake going forward for all your projects. So again, thank you for your time, and I think we can open it up to questions if you want now. And I guess I can turn my video back on.
Thank you for your presentation. Thank you very much. I have a question about all these tools. Do you think that is there a size that the project must have in order for these tools to be cost effective for the project, or every project, bigger or small, can benefit from these tools? Or
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. Yeah, I think that's a fabulous question. It's a question that we get a lot, right? And I think at this day and age with technology now, I think what we're seeing, I'd say about 10 years ago, absolutely, we would see this integration of 3D data visualization only on those bigger, larger, more complex projects. But what we're seeing now is that a lot of the smaller sites, they're implementing some of these solutions and technologies right at the forefront, right, to really help drive those insights and to drive, as I mentioned, to identify key data gaps right away, right? I think that's something that is very key in implementing the 3D data visualization is identifying those key data gaps at the very onset. So whether it's a small site or large site, these tools are really going to help benefit and kind of drive and push that communication and decision making very quickly to help with that reducing that spend.
thank you, thank you. And second question, just curious, but is the COVID-19 emergency pushed? I mean, just fasten the process to utilize these tools, or I mean, based on your experience?
Absolutely, yeah. It has definitely, I'd say, elevated the need for that virtual connectivity, because when we'd be sitting all in a boardroom together with our clients or project team members, it was easy, right, to flip through and look through different reports and whatnot. But now what we're seeing is, because we can't be in person anymore, how do we think of, how do we get that endorsement, how do we get that communication, how do we collaborate, right? And what we're seeing is a huge push with these virtual and digital solutions to really help elevate that collaboration going forward, because it does help everybody get on the same page very quickly, right? So instead of 20 people looking at electronic reports and 2D figures, to have one model that maybe embraces 20 years of contamination data, whether it's soil, groundwater contamination data, into one model where everybody can look at it in real time at the same time and collaborate and think about what the next steps are. Do we have delineation? Do we need to maybe install other wells, other boring locations to help fill in some data gaps? This is a really efficient way, and we're really seeing that drive to more of a visual communication due to the pandemic, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
If there is no other questions, then I think I can close everything down. Please unmute your mic if you have any questions, and if you do have any questions after the presentation, feel free. My contact information is on the screen there. Please feel free to shoot me an email. Would love to chat with you and see how we can help in any manner, or if anybody has any further questions. So just thank you again, and I hope everybody stay safe and keep driving 3D. And so
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.